The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Chapter 1. Can you come into my office? I look around at the desk beside me and then back to Frankie, trying to confirm to whom, exactly, she's talking. I point to myself. Do you mean me? Frankie has very little patience. Yes, Monique, you. That's why I said, Monique, can you come into my office? Sorry, I just heard the last part. Frankie turns. I grab my notebook and follow her. There is something very striking about Frankie. I'm not sure that you say she was conventionally attractive. Her features are severe, her eyes very wide apart, but she is nevertheless someone you can't help but look at and admire. With her thin, 6-foot-tall frame, her short cropped afro, and her affinity for bright colors and big jewelry, when Frankie walks into a room, everyone takes note. She was part of the reason I took this job. I have looked up to her since I was in journalism school, reading her pieces in the very pages of the magazine she now runs and I now work for. And if I'm being honest, there is something very inspiring about having a black woman running things. As a biracial woman myself, with a black father and a white mother, Frankie makes me feel more sure that I can one day run things too. Take a seat, Frankie says as she sits down and gestures towards an orange chair on the opposite side of her lucid desk. I calmly sit and cross my legs. I let Frankie talk first. So, puzzling turn of events, she says, looking at her computer. Evelyn Hugo's people are inquiring about her feature, an exclusive interview. My gut instinct is to say, holy shit, but also, why are you telling me about this? About what in particular? I ask. My guess is it's related to the gown auction she's doing, Frankie says. My understanding is that it's very important to her to raise as such money for the American Breast Cancer Foundation as possible. But they won't confirm that? Frankie shakes her head. All they will confirm is that Evelyn has something to say. Evelyn Hugo is one of my biggest movie stars of all time. She doesn't even have to have something to say for people to listen. This could be a big cover for us, right? I mean, she's a living legend. Wasn't she married 8 times or something? 7, Frankie says. And yes, this has huge potential, which is why I hope you'll bear with me through the next part of this. What do you mean? Frankie takes a big breath and gets a look on her face that makes me think I'm about to get fired. But then she says, Evelyn specifically requested you. Me? This is the second time in the span of 5 minutes I have been shocked that someone was interested in speaking with me. I need to work on my confidence. Suffice it is to say, it's taken a beating recently, although why pretend it was ever really soaring? To be honest, that was my reaction too, Frankie says. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a little offended. Although obviously I can see where she's coming from. I've been at Vivint for less than a year, mostly doing puff pieces. Before that, I was blogging for The Discourse, a current events and culture site that calls itself a news magazine, but is effectively a blog with punchy headlines. I wrote mainly for the Modern Life section, covering trending topics and opinion pieces. After years of freelancing, The Discourse gig was a lifesaver. But when Vivint offered me a job, I couldn't help myself. I jumped at the chance to join an institution to work among legends. On my first day of work, I walked past walls decorated with iconic culture-shifting covers. The one of women's activist Debbie Palmer, naked and carefully posed, standing on top of a skyscraper overlooking Manhattan in 1984. The one of artist Robert Turner in the act of painting a canvas while the text declared that he had AIDS back in 1991. It felt surreal to be a part of the Vivint world. I have always wanted to see my name on its glossy pages. But unfortunately, for the past 12 issues, I've done nothing but ask old-guard questions of people with old money, while my colleagues back at The Discourse are attempting to change their role while going viral. So, simply put, I'm not exactly impressed with myself. Look, it's not that we don't love you, we do, Frankie says. We think you're destined for big things at Vivint, but I was hoping to put one of our more experienced top hitters on this. And so, I want to be upfront with you when I say that we did not submit you as an idea to Evelyn's team. We sent big 5 names, and they came back with this. Frankie turns the computer screen towards me and shows me an email from someone named Thomas Welch, who I can only assume is Evelyn Hugo's publicist. From Thomas Welch to Trout Frankie, Cece, Stamey, Jason, Powers, Ryan. Is Monique Grant or Evelyn's out? I look back up at Frankie stunned, and to be honest, a little bit starstruck that Evelyn Hugo wants anything to do with me. Do you know Evelyn Hugo? Is that what's going on here? Frankie asked me as she turns the computer back towards her side of the desk. No, I say, surprised even to be asked the question. I've seen a few of her movies, but she's a little before my time. You have no personal connection to her? I shake my head. Definitely not. Aren't you from Los Angeles? Yeah, but the only way I'd have any connection to Evelyn Hugo, I suppose, is if my dad worked on one of her films back in the day. He was a still photographer for movie sets. I can ask my mom. Great, thank you. Frankie looks at me expectantly. Did you want me to ask now? Could you? I pull my phone in my pocket and text my mother. Did Dad ever work on any Evelyn Hugo movies? I see 3 dots start to appear, and I look up, only to find that Frankie is trying to get a glimpse of my phone. She seems to recognize the invasion and leans back. My phone dings. My mother texts. Maybe. There were so many it's hard to keep track. Why? Long story, I reply. But I'm trying to figure out if I have any connection to Evelyn Hugo. Think Dad would have known her? Mom answers, Ha, no. Your father never hung out with anyone famous on set, no matter how hard I try to get him to make us some celebrity friends. I laugh. Looks like no connection to Evelyn Hugo. Frankie nods. Okay, well, then. The other theory is that her people choose someone with less clout so that they could try to control you, thus the narrative. I feel my phone vibrate again. That reminds me that I want to send you a box of your dad's old work, some gorgeous stuff. I love having it here, but I think you love it more. I'll send it this week. You think they're preying on the weak? I say to Frankie. Frankie smiles softly. Sort of. So Evelyn's people look up the mess head, find my username as a lower level writer, and think they can bully me around? That's the idea. That's what I fear. And you're telling me this because Frankie considers her words. Because I don't think you can be bullied around. I think they are underestimating you, and I want this covered. I want it to make headlines. What are you saying? I ask, shifting slightly in my chair. Frankie claps her hands in front of her and rests them on the desk, leaning towards me. I'm asking you if you have the guts to go toe-to-toe with Evelyn Hugo. I have no idea. Yes, I finally say. That's all. Just yes. I want this opportunity. I want to write this story. I'm sick of being the lowest one of the totem pole, and I need a win, goddammit. Fuck yes. Frankie nods, considering. Better, but I'm still not convinced. I'm 35 years old. I've been a writer for more than a decade. I want a book deal one day. I want to pick my stories. I want to eventually be the name people scramble to get when someone like Evelyn Hugo calls. And I'm being underused here at Vivid. If I'm going to get to where I want to go, something has to let up. Someone has to get out of my way, and it needs to happen quickly, because this goddamn career is all I have anymore. If I want things to change, I have to change how I do things, and probably drastically. Evelyn wants me, I say. You want Evelyn. It doesn't sound like I need to convince you, Frankie. It sounds like you need to convince me. Frankie is dead quiet, staring right over me over her steeple fingers. I was aiming for formidable. I might have overshot. I feel the same way I did when I tried to weight training and started with the 40-pound weights. Too much, too soon makes it obvious you don't know what you're doing. It takes everything I have not to take it back, not to apologize profusely. My mother raised me to be polite, to be demure. I have long operated under the idea that civility is subservience. But it hasn't gotten me very far. That type of kindness, the world respects people who think they should be running it. I've never understood that, but I'm done fighting. I'm here to be Frankie one day, maybe bigger than Frankie, to do big, important work, that I'm proud of, to leave a mark, and I'm nowhere near doing that yet. The silence is so long that I think I might crack, the tension building with every second that goes by, but Frankie cracks first. "Okay," she says, and puts out her hand as she stands up. Shock and searing pride runs through me as I extend my own. I make sure my handshake is strong. Frankie is a vice. "Ace this, Monique, for us and for yourself, please." "I will." We break away from each other as I walk towards her door. "She might have you read your physician assistant suicide piece for the discourse," Frankie says just before I leave the room. "What?" "It was stunning. Maybe that's why she wants you. It's how we found you. It's a great story. Not just because of its hit, but it got because of you, because it's beautiful work." It was one of the first truly meaningful stories I wrote of my own volition. I pitched it after I was assigned a piece on the rise and popularity of microgreens, especially in the Brooklyn restaurant scene. I had gone to the Park Slope Market to interview a local farmer, but when I confessed I didn't get the appeal of mustard greens, he told me that I sounded like his sister. She had been highly carnivorous until the past year, when she switched to a vegan, all-organic diet as she battled brain cancer. As we spoke more, he told me about a physician-assisted suicide support group he and his sister had joined, for those at the end of their lives and their loved ones. So many in the group were fighting for the right to die with dignity. Health eating wasn't going to save his sister's life, and neither of them wanted her to suffer any longer than she had to. I knew then that I wanted, very deeply, to give a voice to the people of that support group. I went back to the discourse office and pitched the story. I thought it'd be turned down. I've given my recent slate of articles about hipster trends and celebrity think pieces, but to my surprise, I was greeted with a green light. I worked tirelessly on it, attending meetings in a church basement, interviewing the members, writing and rewriting, until I felt confident that the piece represented the full complexity, both the mercy and the moral code, of helping to end the lives of suffering people. It is the story I am proudest of. I have, more than once, gone home from a day's work here and read the piece again, reminding myself of what I'm capable of, reminding myself of the satisfaction I take in sharing the truth, no matter how difficult it may be to swallow. "Thank you," I tell Frankie now. "I'm just saying that you're talented. It might be that." "It's probably not, though." "No," she says. "It's probably not. But write this story well, whatever it is, and then next time it will be." Chapter 2. I've spent the past few days researching everything I can about Evelyn Hugo. I was never a big film buff, let alone interested in any old Hollywood stars. But Evelyn's life, at least the version on record as of now, is enough for 10 soap operas. There's the early marriage that ended in divorce when she was 18, the studio set-up courtship and tumultuous marriage to Hollywood royalty, Don Adler, the rumors that she left him because he beat her comeback in a French New Wave film, the quickie Vegas elopement with singer Mick Riva, her glamorous marriage to the deeper Rex North, which ended in both of them having affairs, the beautiful love story of her life with Harry Cameron, and the birth of their daughter, Connor, their heartbreaking divorce and her very quick marriage to her old director, Max Gerard, her supposed affair with the much younger congressman, Jack Easton, which ended with her relationship with Jared, and finally, her marriage to financier Robert Jameson, rumored to have at least been inspired by Evelyn's desire to spite former co-star and Robert's sister, Celia St. James. All of her husbands have passed away, leaving Evelyn as the only one with an insight into those relationships. Suffice it to say, I had my work cut out for me if I want to get her to talk about any of it. After staying late at the office this evening, I finally make my way home a little before 9. My apartment is small. I believe the most appropriate term is teeny tiny sardine box, but it's amazing how vast a small place can feel when half of your things are gone. David moved out 5 weeks ago, and I still haven't managed to replace the dishes he took with him or the coffee table his mother gave us last year as a wedding present. Jesus. We didn't even make it to our first anniversary. As I walk in my front door and put my bags on the sofa, it strikes me, again, just how needlessly petty it was of him to take the coffee table. His new San Francisco studio came fully furnished, courtesy of the generous relocation package offered with his promotion. I suspect he put the table in storage, along with the one nightstand he insisted he was rightfully his, and all of our cookbooks. I don't miss the cookbooks. I don't cook. But when things are inscribed to Monique and David, for all your many years of happiness, you think of them as half of yours. I hang up my coat and wonder, not for the first time, which question gets closer to the truth. Did David take the new job and move to San Francisco without me? Or did I refuse to leave New York for him? As I take out my shoes, I resolve once again that the answer is somewhere in the middle. But then I came back to the same thought that always stings afresh. He actually left. I order myself pad thai and then get in the shower. I turn the water to nearly scalding hot. I love water so hot it almost burns me. I love the smell of shampoo. My happiest place might just be under the shower head. It is here in the steam, covered in suds, that I do not feel like Monique Grant, woman left behind, or even Monique Grant, stalled writer. I am just Monique Grant, owner of a luxury bath products. Well, after I pruned, I dry myself off, put on my sweatpants, and pull my hair away from my face, just in time for the delivery man to make his way to my door. I sit with the plastic container, trying to watch TV. I tend to zone out. I want to make my brain do something, anything, other than think about work or David. But once my food is gone, I realize it's futile. I might as well work. This is all very intimidating. The idea of interviewing Evelyn Hugo, task of controlling her narrative, of trying to make sure she doesn't control mine, I'm often inclined to over-prepare. But more to the point, I've always been a bit like an ostrich, willing to bury my head in the sand to avoid what I don't want to face. So, for the next 3 days, I do nothing but research Evelyn Hugo. I spend my days pulling up old articles about her marriages and her scandals. I spend my evenings watching her old movies. I watch clips of her in Carolina Sunset, Anna Karenina, Jay Diamond, and All For Us. I watched a gif of her upcoming Out of the Water, Bhutan and Train. So many times that when I fall asleep, it plays over and over in my dreams. And I start to fall in love with her, just the littlest bit, as I watch her films. Between the hours of 11 p.m. and 2 a.m., while the rest of the world is sleeping, my laptop flickers with the sight of her, and the sound of her voice fills my room. There is no denying that she is a stunningly beautiful woman. People often talk about her straight, thick eyebrows and her blonde hair, but I can't take my eyes off her bone structure. Her jawline is strong, her cheekbones are high, and all of it comes to a point at her even so swollen lips. Her eyes are huge, but not so much round as an oversized almond shape. Her tan skin next to her light hair looks beachy, but also elegant. I know it's not natural. Hair that blonde with skin that bronze, and yet I can't shake the feeling that it should be, that humans should be born looking like this. I have no doubt that's part of the reason film historian Charles Redding once said that Evelyn's face felt inevitable. So exquisite, so nearly perfect, that when looking at her, you get the sense that her features in the combination, in that ratio, were bound to happen sooner or later. I pinned images of Evelyn in the 50s wearing tight sweaters and bullet bras, pressed photos of her and Don Adler on the Sunset Studios lot shortly after they were married, shots of her from the early 60s with long, straight hair and soft, thick bangs and wearing short shorts. There is a photo of her in a white one-piece sitting on the shoreline of a pristine beach with a large, floppy black hat covering most of her face, her white blonde hair and the right side of her face illuminated by the sun. One of my personal favorites is a black and white shot from the Golden Globes in 1967. She is seated on the aisle, her hair pulled into a loose updo. She is wearing a light-colored lace gown with a deep scoop neckline, her cleavage controlled but on full display, and her right leg escaping through the high slit of the skirt. There are 2 men seated next to her, names lost to history, who are staring at her as she looks ahead of the stage. The man next to her is staring at her chest. The one next to him is staring at her thigh. Both of them seem enraptured and hoping to see the tiniest bit further. Maybe I'm overthinking that photo, but I'm starting to notice a pattern. Evelyn always leaves you hoping you'll get just a little bit more, and she always denies you. Even in her much talked about sex scene in the 3 a.m. from 1977, in which she writes, reverse cowboy style, on top of Don Adler, you see her full breast for less than 3 seconds. It was rumored for years that the incredible box office numbers for the film were because couples were going to see it multiple times. How does she know just how much to give and just how much of herself to withhold? And does that all change now that she's got something to say? Or is she going to play me the same way she played audiences for years? Is Evelyn Hugo going to tell me just enough to keep me on the edge of my seat, but never enough to truly reveal anything?